Didn't you just launch one yesterday or christen one or something with it Saturday?
Yeah.
How many of you know what a littoral comment ship is? Okay, good enough. Okay, next. No, it's basically a shallow water Navy ship versus one that needs deep water.
I'm Lisa Race. I'm from Oshkosh Defense. We're a segment of Oshkosh Corporation. Some of the different companies that you may be familiar with that are part of our organization would be Pierce Manufacturing, McNeilus Truck Manufacturing, JLG, and then of course formerly Oshkosh Truck, now Oshkosh Defense. We mainly manufacture trucks, but we do also have access equipment. That's our JLG segment. Multi-billion-dollar organization headquartered here in Wisconsin, right down in Oshkosh.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Jean Thiel. I'm the CEO and Quality Control Manager for Belanger Corporation. Belanger Corporation is a mechanical specialty trades design, build, maintenance, repair, and service company. We are stationed in West Bend, Wisconsin. See, I'm starting to talk. And we currently do work with state, federal, county, city, and private industry. We were the first MetroPro sanctioned by the SBA for the state of Wisconsin. And currently we're doing contracts with the VA, the Department of Defense, the Navy, the Air Force, and several federal agencies. Thank you for having me here. And I can say I'd be remiss in saying that we were a Tier 2 provider on the stadium build-out years ago. It was one of my first projects that got me out of the basement and into an office building. So I'm very thankful to be here today.
Well, thank you, Packers.
I'm Bill Capel. I am the Director of Operations at American Pride Industrial Equipment. We're a service-disabled veteran-owned small business. We are actually part of the Metro Protege of Green Bay Packers right now in the current program. We provide industrial equipment as such as material handling equipment and everything from benches to snowplows. And again, we're a service-disabled veteran-owned small business right here in Green Bay.
So I am Heather Olson. I'm with the National Minority Supplier Development Council and the local affiliate, the North Central Minority Supplier Development Council. We are one of the resource organizations that Ina mentioned. We actually certify ethnic minority businesses and connect them to opportunities in the private sector. Our wheelhouse is primarily the private sector, not the government sector, and so our membership is made up of private sector companies. And once we certify an MBE, Minority Business Enterprise, we work to connect them to those opportunities through one-on-one arrangements and through networking events and group events. So anybody in the room that would like to get MBE certified in the private sector, we'd love to work with you.
I'm Jim Struby with the Small Business Administration. I'm a business opportunity specialist. The SBA, as you may or may not know, the three things that we provide, the main three things are capital, which can be in lending, counseling, we give advice on different aspects of business, startups and other such things, and contracting, which is my specialty. And as far as the contracting goes, it's the federal contracting, and we help maintain the AAA program, Hub Zone, other certifications for small businesses.
Hi, I'm Jen Kurtzborn, and I am a retail buyer for the Packers Pro Shop. So my department purchases everything that we sell in the store that you see downstairs, our kiosks, our concession stands, and our website. So we're primarily retail. We don't sell services, so just products.
Or dealerships.
Yeah.
So let's start with the three large buyers, large company buyers or large organization buyers. What do you look for in a supplier? If I come up to you, what are you going to, I don't know.
First thing we look for is what do they supply? Do we have a contract requirement to meet that? Such as a lot of our stuff right now with the Navy has certain requirements such as mil-spec. There are commercial items or services even. As far as a service standpoint, what's the quality? So there's certain literature or forms that would need to be filled out. If it's a service, our quality might get involved and want to do a site visit, see how the cleanliness is and what, and also, I guess, references to as how they perform. Products, it all goes back to the contract. If it meets the requirement, then we can work further with that vendor to see about the supply. And then again, the quality, if they can meet the delivery schedules, and so on.
Is it mostly manufacturing or is it broader than that?
As far as,
What you purchase? I mean, what you look for from the small business aspect,
it's broader than that.
Okay.
It all depends on the need for what, if it's even down to MRO. So
Okay.
it all depends.
So Oshkosh Corporation looks for primarily a supplier who is ISO certified. That's one of the biggest challenges right now, being a defense supplier to a defense prime contractor. We need to have ISO certification in place with any of the suppliers that we do business with. We also we do quality audits with the supplier prior to onboarding them as a supplier, so we do need to see that you've got quality systems in place. Obviously, if you're ISO certified, you have those. We do operational assessments to ensure that whatever business we're considering your company for, that you have the capacity to meet our requirements. We do, with being part of the defense segment, I can speak most knowledgeably about our defense business, but we do have a pretty firm forecast for the next 5 years. We understand that we're going to require a lot from our suppliers in terms of quantity of parts delivered to us, if we're looking at services. We've got several facilities that are in need of having MRO suppliers to come in and do whatever particular service we're looking for. So the biggest thing is making sure that you understand the requirements that as a prime contractor we are required to flow down to you as well, which kind of encompass all of the other things we have discussed.
What are the mechanisms for a supplier?
So we operate a little differently. The suppliers that we purchase from all have to be licensed through the NFL. So the NFL does that whole process for us. So we aren't the ones reaching out to people and making sure, they have regulations in place. The NFL dictates which factories these companies can produce from or get their goods from. So they have to be up to high standards. And there's probably about 120 licensed vendors that we can purchase from. Obviously, like Nike is the sideline apparel vendor, so we have to purchase from them if we want sideline goods, which we obviously do. As far as other products, if it's glassware, they may have 3 or 4 different people that we could choose to purchase from. So we're not told we have to purchase from everyone, but we can pick and choose who we want, and we just look for people who can deliver on time. Obviously, with the season, we have to have the goods in place now, and our business is year-round, so we look for people who can turn the goods fast, deliver a quality product, because then we're reshipping everything to our customers or putting it in the store, and we don't want to deal with defective product and whatnot. So that's kind of how we choose our suppliers.
Are you able to support local Wisconsin businesses, or are you just forced to buy from these other people wherever they are?
If they're licensed, we can support local people. There is a company called Bolter, and they are out of the Milwaukee area, and they're actually one of our bigger housewares, drinkware vendors, so we do purchase quite a bit through them. Other than that, that's pretty much
That
it.
sounds like one Wisconsin business.
That's, a lot of them are out of, there's a lot in New York, Florida, California, Kansas City, so.
What, are you doing anything to promote Wisconsin businesses?
We have everything, labeled on our website if it is produced in Wisconsin or even the U.S. for that matter. But other than that, yeah, unfortunately, our hands are tied. We own the rights to Lambeau Field products, so we do a lot of that with some local companies. There's a company out of Milwaukee called Schofield, and they do all of our postcards and some other little type of magnets, Lambeau Field glassware. We have a company who makes some Lambeau Field candy for us, and we do those out of the Milwaukee area again. Cerugis. If you're all familiar with the Green Bay area, we get our candy from there, so we kind of have a local license that we can put the little sugar G's on the candy. So we try to do what we can, but overall, our hands are mostly tied.
So small business in your case isn't a factor.
Correct.
For Oshkosh and Marinette, small business programs,
Yeah, absolutely. We have small business requirements on all of our defense contracts. Obviously, that's not the only qualification that we look for, but we do, as a prime contractor, we are required to meet a certain percentage of small business, disadvantaged business, minority-owned, veteran disabled, that kind of thing. So we do look for that in a supplier. It's certainly part of our consideration process, but there are other things that we consider as well. We have 4 priorities that we require all of our suppliers to perform to. So quality, on-time delivery, competitiveness. We have to be able to show that you're competitive with other people in the market, even if you are a small business. And then also the ability to support our new product development programs as well. So aside from small business, there's a lot of other things that we look for.
So my question, as a defense contractor, are you guys privy to GSA pricing on items and goods?
No.
Okay.
But we typically we're able to be competitive. So we have a lot of contracts with DLA. So we're actually one of those suppliers to government.
Okay, so somebody selling to you doesn't necessarily have to be on a GSA contract to sell to you.
No, they do not.
Basically the same as what she said, except for the new product development. But we also have the FARs and the DFARs too that need to flow down to the suppliers
Like
as
the
well.
rules.
Yes.
okay, and Jim, that's what you do, is you work with those programs. So the STD, the women-owned business, the hub zone, and the service disabled veteran-owned business. So he's the guy that knows this stuff when it comes to the federal prime and sub. And so whether you're selling to the agency directly, like if you were selling to the Army, or if you were selling to their large defense contractors, there are small business programs. Now I'm going to Gene and Bill. You guys are contractors. You both worked really hard for many years. I've known you both for a long time. And it's not been an easy path. Can you talk to that a little bit? Like, don't make it sound really bad, but just what you're honest about it.
Yeah, sure. Well, one thing I would say is that the certifications are a tool. They're something that you can use. It's the extent of how you use them and how much you decide to have them position you in a market or in a market space. But you have to do a lot of homework. It's a lot of self-taught. There's not a cheat sheet on how to get into a government agency or how to position yourself for, let's say, a tier flow down, as they're talking about with flow down clauses for small business or minorities. You do market analysis and market homework and figure out if you want to use the attributes about your company to get more market space and more a new market. I use certification to enter the market, create a market, and build my market space. So my growth in my company over the 17 years was around being woman-owned and Native American-owned and being small and being emerging and economic and disadvantaged, and anything I could justifiably call out as a characteristic that would put myself against my competition. And one of the things I sort of noted down is the certifications is just an attribute. It's a competitive advantage. It's not how you win it, it's not how you get it, and it's not how you complete it. It's still quality, safety, time, ability to deliver, and cost effectively. The certifications, though, give you a way to open the door, or a way to wedge your foot in when no one wants to talk to you because they already have their full-time big business partner. So you have to decide what it is going to do for your company and how you're going to use it. And if you get the whole idea of it's not just the magic pill or the silver bullet, it doesn't solve everything. And sometimes certification and government contracting can create other things within your organization that you may not have to deal with, like rules of conduct and executive capital and pay or cost accounting standards. But if you want it, it's something you can learn and you can attain, and it's very viable, and it's a strong tool. But you have to make it something that's a focus that you're going to utilize to try and do something of a betterment within your company. One of the last things too is ability to perform and rules of conduct. And maybe that's a good way to say entering into these programs as a small or a minority or a veteran-owned company. You have to know that you can perform on every deliverable, and you have to know the rules of conduct, and the rules of conduct change depending on the type of contract or the type of procurement.
That's exactly everybody's point, but I'll tell you what, government contracting is not hard. It's tedious. It's not one of the...
Boring.
Sometimes good sleeping material. But it is tedious, but I'm going to tell you, when you start assessing the risk of what you're going to go after for what kind of contract you're going after, it's not, you're not going to go right out of the blocks and go after a contract that's $100 million. You're going to assess the risk that you have in your gut to say, I can afford to go after a $5,000 or $6,000 contract or a $500 contract, and learn the rules. And there's a bunch of rules. And it's not, but again, it's not hard. It's just go through them step by step. Wisconsin Procurement Institute can actually help you go through the rules, especially when you're doing your bidding. You'd like to know them before you bid it and get it, because all of a sudden it might cost you a little bit of money. But again, if your risk is lower on your first couple contracts, you've got a little bit of education, and think of it that way, as you're buying an education. So you're not going to make $1 million, but you're going to learn some very valuable lessons. And currently we have quite a few different contracts going on. That's kind of the hard part, because you got to balance a lot of contracts at one time, especially this time of year, because there's some money being spent right now, and we all have to. There's just lots of hours that it takes to go through and make sure everything is done correctly. But again, and I stress, it's not hard. It's tedious, but it's not hard.
You have to know what you're doing, and then it's not that.
Yeah, well, you learn.
Well, and something, we did calls on, I called Oshkosh 10 times, no one's called me back. I'm going, okay, well, what you have to remember in the government market, commercial market, or, if someone doesn't have a need or for what you do, or a problem that you can solve, they have nothing to give you, okay? On the government side too, they may want to build a new VA hospital on the VA grounds in Iron Mountain, but if there's no money to do it, there's no contract. So even if you do something you think someone else could use, if someone's already doing it, they're happy with it. So if the prime contractors have good suppliers that are delivering on time, meeting quality, making them happy, saving whatever, why are they going to come to you? There's no need. So you have to be very cautious as you approach this and very realistic on if there's no need and there's no money, that opportunity is not there at this point in time. That doesn't mean it won't be 5 years later, 2 years later. Could be the current contractor falls on his face, does something bad, whatever. There's always, you need to be aware of the marketplace, okay? So when you are talking to each other and meeting later, even if you don't think you can do somebody or what can Gene do for me, make sure you introduce yourself to everybody. Because what doesn't Wisconsin have that Florida has, California has, Texas has? We don't have that network here in Wisconsin of contractors and people who are in this market space. So we're try to build that, make friends, make networks, make relationships. You never know when one of these people might have something and they know you, and all of a sudden there is an opportunity. Okay? Jim, do you want to comment on the small business programs?
I do, and I wanted to tag on what you were saying. Some of the certifications that are out here are not indefinite. The hub zones change. The 8A program's only 9 years. vendors, so knowing your marketplace and knowing when some, either a subcontractor has one of those or even a prime, when that changes around, it may open up another opportunity for you. Service and civil veteran-owned small business, that's probably going to stay. They can keep on doing what they're doing. Women-owned small business, economically disadvantaged women-owned small business, all of those don't really fall under that, but there are ones. Know the programs, come see me. I can educate you on them. Know how they all work and what opportunities may open up because of what's different between them.
So keep relationships going, it's very important. Could I ask each of you to give a piece of advice to the businesses that are here on either what to do or what not to do, like your turn on or your turn off, that's really, Christine, anything come to mind?
Not really. I mean, if there's a need, like you said, then, we'll reach out. Part of the things that we tend to do a lot is, say, for example, we're looking for someone that can provide, say, like a fabricating service for us or something. A lot of times we go to our current supply base. Of course, we're looking for people that are local that, we can communicate with, they can deliver to us, that kind of thing. But websites help, because we Google a lot. And so if there's a website out there, it can provide information. Be like, oh, wait, what about this supplier? Let's reach out to them and see what services they can offer us.
Do you use SAM or Dynamic Small Business Search to find suppliers?
Yes.
So make sure, if you're going to follow the path of federal supply chain, not just direct or, the first tier, make sure that you're registered in SAM and that you're in the Dynamic Small Business Search and your information is current. If you have questions, Jean, raise your hand, and Ken. They both work with Wisconsin Procurement Institute and know this stuff. Also, what you said on the website, I won't make you raise your hand, but if you don't have a website in today's culture, business culture, you've lost already. You can't even get started, because as soon as, if she's looking, you're not there. Or if she meets with you today and wants to know more about you, she won't find it, right? We have no more Blue Books, no more Thomas Registers. I think there's Thomas Net. But we don't, it's not the same as it used to be. So please make sure that you have an internet presence, a web presence that is reasonable. And I don't mean like, a $50,000 website with flashing little people and all this kind of stuff. The things that she want to know, like, are you ISO, are you ITAR, do you have experience, have you done defense work before, a picture of what you do, something like that, okay? And also, business cards, capability statement. Again, today, hopefully you have your business cards with you that you can make sure someone goes home with that.
I have a lot of suppliers who, or potential suppliers who, when I ask them what they specialize in, they say, well, I can do anything for you. And I don't want to hear that, because there are a lot of people that can do anything for me. What I want to know is what you guys specialize in and what you guys are really, really good at, because that will be what your competitive advantage is. So if you are a small company that does something very unique with an electrical component, absolutely tell me about that. And you may not get the multi-million-dollar contracts, but you get your foot in the door and you start supplying us with product, and we see that you're a good supplier. And then at that point, we can branch out and see, are there other opportunities for you as a supplier to Oshkosh? The other thing that I don't want to see is, I appreciate that there's a lot of people on this point, we probably don't respond very well within Oshkosh Defense, but you have to understand that we get a ton of people that just cold call us all day long, every day, asking for, they hear that Defense won a new contract and they want to get in the door. And it's very difficult to call even our current suppliers back on time. So trying to get new suppliers is very difficult as well. So I would encourage you to utilize the tools that we have as options for how to become a supplier to Oshkosh. We've got a supplier portal out online. If you're interested, I can give you the website after the speech, but use those tools and flow through the proper pathways, and that's how you really get in. I had one potential supplier that basically just spammed our whole department. Looked on LinkedIn and found anybody that worked for Oshkosh Defense Purchasing and sent the same email to those. I don't respond to that, because that tells me that you don't know, you haven't done your research to see who you should be reaching out to or what you should be doing as a supplier. So.
Remember too that when you guys put the proposal together for this last win, you did that, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, a while back?
Yes.
Okay. okay? They're not doing it now. They did that a long time ago. When a building goes up, you know, if the VA is going to build a new hospital, Gene's out of your head. When that's announced as far as the win, that's all planned already. I mean, the bid goes in with the subcontractors, and granted, after a couple of years, people may fall to the wayside, businesses are out of business, someone can't do it anymore. So there's always opportunities, but remember that when the award is announced, it's usually way too late. So we've got to build these relationships back here, so when the time is here, they'll be part of the plan. Okay, Jean?
Just
What
one more
am I-
point.
sure.
We are constantly working on proposals to the government, so there's always a new need. We've got new product development programs going on all the time, and that's in kind of our forward-looking, what we're going to need to do for the government in 5 or 10 years. So there is always an opportunity. You just need to work with us and follow the things that we've set in place to become a supplier of Oshkosh.
What you're
Sort of to dovetail off of what you've been saying, I had a little talking point. Consistency and resiliency were suggestions. I have it on my board in my office. I remind myself that I'm told that's what I am every once in a while when you forget what you think you are. You have to be resilient. You have to be consistent. If you're trying to move into a new supplier relationship or you're trying to wedge out the incumbent, what I would say is it took me 8 to 9 years to get on to Harley Davidson to do the museum. It took me almost 8 to 10 years to get into We Energies. So Oshkosh isn't any different than all the big businesses. It takes a while, and it sort of speaks to the marketplace too. If you get into the programs and into the federal minutia of some of these programs, it's a very strategic, plotted, long-term plan. It's not something you just do overnight. So consistency and resiliency, I say, are good things to hold on to and use. And you got to be effective. That's the other thing I've been figuring out. You know, when you do a self-assessment and go, why me over him? Or why me over them? And, you know, we're pretty close. And last I looked, I still put a door in the same way, or I still paint the wall the same way. But when you step back, what I've been able to figure out is sometimes we're overshooting our competition and we're getting our piece of the pie because we are effective and we're efficient. It's knowing those rules and those conducts and the plans and the specs. It's really how you outshine your competition. So that's my advice. What I wouldn't do is be everything. So I had that written down. I have the 3 E's: efficient, effective, not everything. But the other thing I would say is falling victim to, well, that's what they're doing. Well, I heard you can do it, and that's what they're doing. Well, no, they don't care about this on the contract. I heard this guy was doing this, so I can do it. Just don't fall victim to it because what others are doing. Know your terms and conditions. Know your flow downs. Know what self-provide means. Because you're the only one that has to answer to it. They don't care what the other person was doing when they're talking to you.
This is all really great because the large businesses that are here, when you mentioned about the emails and the spamming, and you've got to respect their time because, again, I've been doing this for 25 years and as a small business, and you will turn people off and they will not return calls, even if you could be the best things in sliced bread. But you know, if you're not respectful of their time, they're going to turn you right off. When again on the email situation, each one of the large companies has a SBLO or a small business liaison officer. If you don't know who that person is to talk to, contact the SBLO first. They will lead you to the right person. Because right now, if you're, again, going onto Facebook or onto LinkedIn and hit everybody, again, it's spam, and you're not going to be respected in the industry. So that would be my...
And these people do talk, they know each other, they change jobs and companies, the government people talk to each other. So stuff like that is one of those conversation pieces over coffee or after hours So you don't want to get that reputation, a patient reputation. Okay, Heather?
And I want to dovetail on something that Jean said earlier. We do have Belanger certified as one of our minority business enterprise firms, and Harley-Davidson Motor Company, which she mentioned, and Wisconsin Energy Corporation are some of our members. And I guess what I would say, to echo what's being said across the table, we work as a liaison. The National Minority Supplier Development Council, the North Central Minority Supplier Development Council works as a liaison between your company and the corporate members. And so, and you can see all of our national and local corporate members by going to our website, and I have my card and I can get that out to everybody. So what I would recommend, going to sort of best practices here, thoughts and strategies, is the certification is absolutely a tool. It's not the be-all and end-all. It's a tool to put in the toolkit and pull out when it's opportune time to pull it out. But what we can do as the NMSDC is we can help engage you into those relationships. And of course, it's all about relationships. We can engage you into those relationships so that when the contracting opportunity comes up, so if there's a current member that's in a 4-year contract, you're in that relationship with that member so that when that opportunity comes up 4 years from now, you're engaged, you know the person, they know you, they have the RFP, the RFI, the RFQ, they reach out to you. The private sector is a little bit different, obviously, than the public sector. The decisions get made without necessarily the light of day shine on them. They can make decisions unilaterally or however they want to. But all of our members that we work with do have supplier diversity programs and processes. And so unlike the SBLO officers that were just referenced, they have supplier diversity directors and professionals. And so we connect you to those people to help you discover those opportunities. And so I guess getting certified or any certifications you can get are great. Attending events like this, building relationships are great. Getting to know the people and utilizing resources like the SBA or like the NMSDC so that you are in front of the decision makers when those opportunities arise.
And I'd like to close with I'd like to encapsulate.
There's one more person after you say closing.
I'm sorry. I'd like to just encapsulate the fact that we're talking about these certifications, but your competitive advantage is not the certification itself. It's what you do, how you do business, how you perform on contracts. So when you walk into a room with a contractor who you want to work for or a contracting officer who you want to contract from, it's the first thing out of your mouth shouldn't be, well, I'm an AAA certified small business. You need to work with me because you need to meet your goals. No, you need to talk about what you do as a business and how you perform and how your past performance is, how good it is and how well you do your job. And then, by the way, I'm ABA certified. And then that can help you meet your small business goals. So I think a lot of people get it mixed up. If I get this certification, that's my edge. That's what's going to get me. It's a great thing to have. It will get your foot in the door and it really helps a contracting officer to make that decision, but it's not the first thing that needs to come out of your mouth.
Well, I remember too, how many in this country, how many AD firms are there? Thousands?
Yes.
How many service disabled veteran firms? Thousands? So you're not the only one. I mean, there's competition across all these minority business,
There's
women,
over
everything.
12,000 MBA certified nationwide.
So you're competing against similar companies oftentimes. So it comes down to what Jean said, you still need that edge, that competitive advantage, because that puts you in a smaller pot, but it's a pot nonetheless.
One thing for us that turns us off or is a big turnoff, we get a lot of calls about people who want to sell us their product and they don't do the research first and they don't understand that anyone who is trying to sell us anything with a G or the Packers on it has to be licensed through the NFL. And we will call everybody back just because that's what we believe. We believe that everybody should be called back and then we have to refer them to the NFL. But the biggest thing is when we tell them, are you licensed? And they say no, they try to keep pushing. And there's nothing we can do if you want to license through the league. We cannot purchase from you. So at that point, we want you to do your work and call the NFL. And there's some people who may be able to get in with one of the larger companies that are licensed if they just have one product and they can go under kind of a sub-license where this company may buy their product and sell it that way, and then at least you can get your foot in the door. So that's kind of.
And no lying, never lie.
Yeah.
We've all chuckle these days. Any questions from the audience? Yes.
Aside from the website, what other requirements are you putting on the small businesses as far as building, electronic billing, electronic interfaces? ability to take anything electronic that you're putting on in order to run a small business, or do you lessen that load in order to work with small businesses? Just being honest.
Yes, be honest.
We are fairly electronically oriented. We do not send purchase orders via fax or mail or any other means. All of our purchase orders are transmitted electronically through our supplier portal. All suppliers who are supplying anything to Oshkosh Corporation, Oshkosh Defense specifically, need to be able to access the Oshkosh Supply Portal. As far as invoicing, all of our invoices get transmitted electronically through an email based on whether you're a discount supplier, if you offer us a discount for terms, or whatever your alphabetical name is, then you have a different email address that you would transmit those to. As far as requirements to be EDI capable, we don't have that in place currently. It is something that we would prefer, certainly, but we understand that there is a significant cost associated with that, and small businesses are not able to always bear that cost. So really, it's a website-based program or system that we ask our suppliers to utilize in order to communicate our purchase orders to you, and then you can also use that to communicate any change requests if you have changes in dates or pricing or anything like that.
So nothing really special except internet access to your portal.
Correct. Internet access is all we really require you to have. So.
And I'm the same as her, except for I'm not as strict. We do fax. You know, if there's invoices, you need to fax them in, or a purchase order, they do leave our system automatically too, but we can change that based on the supplier if they don't have email. Sometimes we have issues with servers where something's blocking, where we can't email each other, and I have a few suppliers that way where it's always fax communication or telephone. But mostly the means is just internet access.
Any other questions? Then I turn it back to Anna, and I want to thank you all for participating and sharing your knowledge and expertise.
Thank you so much. I hope all of you learned something. Now you will have the chance to talk to them one-on-one and tell them what you do, and ask them how you can probably be their subcontractor or get on their list. So I would like the procurement purchasing department's heads to go to their tables, and then I'll give you 10 minutes. So I hope you have your elevator pitch ready. 30 seconds.